Welcome to Mocktails and Masterpieces with the Indianapolis Chamber Orchestra, sponsored by Anthony Shefferly and Associates.
Greetings, ICO friends. Matthew Kraemer here with the ICO. The 25-26 season is right around the corner. It's hard to believe. Summer's coming to an end soon, and we're looking forward to an incredible slate of programs that we have. And perhaps most exciting for me personally and for our patrons, our composer in residence, an old friend of the ICO and of mine, Michael Shapiro, is with it. Michael, we are delighted that you're joining the ICO, and we're performing two works, not just performing, but premiering two works. Welcome again into the ICO family.
I love the ICO family. I love you, Matthew, and to be together is just going to be extraordinary.
Well, our patrons will remember the last time you were with us was your incredible film score for Frankenstein. That was such a joy. That amazing film that, most famously did not have a score attached to it. You created the perfect partner with that. Before we start talking about the works that we have in store for our patrons, let's talk about that. That's been an incredible worldwide phenomenon. Perhaps no surprise to you, but this is just an amazing achievement. Could you tell us a little bit about where Frankenstein is being performed in different iterations that you've created?
Well, there are four versions: chamber orchestra, which you beefed up with more strings, which is terrific; full orchestra, which I premiered with the Virginia Symphony, but I also did it with the City Birmingham Symphony in the UK. There's a recording of the overture. And there's a wind ensemble version, which I conducted the premiere down in Dallas at the Meyerson Symphony Center with the Dallas Winds. And then the opera version, which I did with the LA Opera and the Atlanta Opera recently in sellout performances. The piece, to my great joy, has been done literally from Mariinsky in St. Petersburg to that's La Scala, but in Milano. I conducted the L'Orchestra Sinfonica di Milano Giuseppe Verdi, and then it's been done all over the UK and in Germany at the Theater Trier, and all over the United States and Canada, including the Royal Canadian Air Force Band and the West Point. No, I'm so sorry. No, the I've done other things with the West Point Band, but with the United States Navy Band with Captain Ken Collins conducting in DC. I mean, this piece is amazing. Matthew, this coming season, I have 12 performances scheduled, unsolicited. So it's going to be 75 performances by the end of Halloween.
That's amazing. And in addition to your incredible work as a composer, you're a conductor. You're leading many of these performances,
Yes.
Around the country and around the world too. This is a lineage of, that conductors and composers have had going back to, Beethoven and Berlioz, et cetera, et cetera. So what's it like leading your own works with, such prestigious orchestras?
One of my mentors, although I did not know him, was Stravinsky, as far as, being a New Yorker and so forth. But he did say that a conductor must compose and a composer must conduct, in his way. But it's really true, because the things that I can bring to an orchestra. Now, I spent years with the Chappaqua Orchestra doing standard rep, but now I conduct the great orchestras of the world, and I've been very lucky to establish a long-term relationship with the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra in London. I have 3 recordings with them now, and one of them was Grammy nominated. It's just absurd. But I love it because, as you know, Matthew, when you get in front of an orchestra like the Indianapolis Chamber Orchestra, and you have these incredibly fine musicians, you don't have to worry about notes. You don't have to worry about values. You can just do music and get under the notes. So being a composer teaches me how to do that.
I love that. And you're back with us in January 26 for the world premiere, as I mentioned, of 2 works of yours. A delightful shorter work, which we'll talk about shortly. But the major work on this program is a violin concerto that you wrote with violinist Tim Fain, who we'll also talk about briefly here in mine. But this is an interesting work, but it's titled, is it a programmatic work? Is it simply a violin concerto, or does the name At the Shore of the Sea imply some kind of picturesque elements?
Yes, it does. When we go to the shore of the sea, which we all do and we love, we look out at the horizon, especially, in New York. I'm sorry, Indianapolis, you don't have an ocean, but we have an ocean here, and I grew up at the ocean, and first with my grandmother in Coney Island, then out in Long Island, and all the way out in the Hamptons. When, also going out to the Cape and seeing the ocean, and also from the other side. I've been to the West Coast many times from LA and also to the UK and sing, the Channel and so forth, or in Ireland. But, it's just incredible. And it's God's work to see the ocean and see the infinity of it. And at the shore of the sea, we have a vision. And also the words come from the Bible. It's very related to the spirit of the enlargement of our view and of our soul when we see the ocean.
I would love that. So were you staring at the ocean when this music came to you, or were you at your writing desk, imagining the ocean?
It's a metaphor. I mean, because my other concerti have names as well. In the Light of the Sun is my flute concerto, which is recorded recently with Stathis Karapanos and the Royal Philharmonic. And then there's the new cello concerto, The World to Come, which us old guys have to think about these days. So, all of these do have descriptions which get me going. I would say that that's what's behind it. But Tim is also, we'll get to stories about Tim, but in my mind, I wrote it for him too. He's a revelation.
So let's talk about the composition of a concerto, first of all. There are many famous anecdotes in history of Mendelssohn and Ferdinand David, of Brahms and Joachim. It's no small feat to write a solo vehicle for an instrument, which, do you play the violin, Michael?
No.
You're a pianist. So to be able to write a solo part that has all of the, the virtuosity required, I mean, were you working with somebody, or was it just consult, with yourself, just sending, drafts to Tim, for example, to take a look at?
I'm looking forward to working with Tim and you on the concerto, because he may come back to me and say, well, Michael, don't you think we should blah, 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 this, but, because we've now worked together doing multiple concerti, not only, none of my concerti, but he's recorded my piece variations, which are 18 variations on a theme, which is recorded on my label. He's also recorded my second violin and piano sonata with Stephen Beck, the great pianist, who recorded my Archangel piano concerto and my Passages piano pieces. Tim, in my mind, bar none, is the greatest violinist in the world. There is nobody like him. Not only does Tim have great virtuosity and he was the concertmaster of the Curtis school orchestra. That's how good he is. But he's also a composer, and he writes film scores. He wrote a film score recently for the Munch movie, which is extraordinarily. He knows how to get under the notes like you do, Matthew, because it's not just waving your arms and playing this or doing this. What are we doing this for? Why are we here?
Well, I believe you actually worked with Tim on stage. We've got a video segment of that as well. I'll let you set that up.
Well, we've done many concerto. Brahms double with Eddie Aaron. We've done the Mendelssohn. We did the Barber extraordinarily, which I hope to do with him again in the UK. But this recording that you're going to show is of John Williams' remarkable music that he wrote for Schindler's List. And it's with Tim, myself, and I'm conducting the Chamber Orchestra. And you'll see what I mean. No one has ever played this piece, this gorgeous piece that John Williams wrote, like Tim.
Tim and Michael on Schindler's List. So we're looking forward to welcoming Tim Fain to Indianapolis during your residency with the ICO as composer in residence. At the Shore of the Sea is the name of the concerto, first performance of that work, which the ICO will be recording, as we mentioned. But there's another work on this program which is just delightful. It is called Zoomies. Michael, what is Zoomies about?
For those of you who have had cats and dogs, you remember kittens and puppies, right? What do they do when they first come home? They jump on the sofa. They fall off the sofa. They look at you. Then they run around like nutcases and they stop. And they look at you. Then they continue. And then maybe you give them a treat, but maybe you don't. And then they continue. Well, they do this, especially when they're little. Some of them carry this forward way into their middle age and maybe old age, but not so much old age. But they have zoomies. And zoomies is a word that I learned basically from my kids, from Nathaniel Shapiro and Reese Perlin, my son and stepson, who have dogs, Meadow and Callie. And we had them when they were puppies. And boy, did they have zoomies. Especially if there are bunnies outside. But even worse, if there is Felix the cat outside, a neighbor. Ooh, then we have that crazy jumping around and barking and doing all kinds of things. But when they were little, they were running around. So anybody who has a dog or cat knows the word zoomies. Now, just a little aside, I learned recently that rabbits, because we have a lot of rabbits here, they have zoomies too, but they're not called zoomies. I just learned they're called binkies.
Never heard of that before.
Never did.
I love it. I'm reminded in music that animals make frequent appearances. Obviously, there's the Elgar variation Enigma with the dog barreling down the hill and the barking dog and one of the slow movements of Four Seasons of Vivaldi. But I've never heard anything like this. This is going to be terrific. And you described it as a perfect concert opener too. I imagine high energy, high voltage, fast tempos for the orchestra. So it must have come to you pretty quickly, I would assume.
It was in between movements of a concerto. Pop. And, it also has a surprise ending, which we won't let out.
Oh, I love it. And one on the topic of your music here, you've got some example. You have an example to share with us of with our audiences of some of your music. I'll let you set this up again as well.
Well, there's lots of stuff. I mean, I have a dozen CDs now out. We call them CDs, recordings. Although in Europe, people still have CDs. In America, everything's downloaded, but everything's on Spotify and YouTube and Prime Music and so forth. And there's just so much stuff. Tim Fain's recording of my solo variations is incredible. His recording of my second violin and piano sonata, as I mentioned, is absolutely incredible. So that's one example.
Marvelous. Michael, you're so busy. You never stop, it seems. You're writing an opera, but you're also writing, what else are you working on at the moment?
Well, the opera's done. The Slave is finished. It's fully orchestrated and it's being read, hopefully at IU this coming May. But I'm writing my third symphony right now. And you ask me, why is somebody doing it? And I say, no, I'm writing it because I want to write a third symphony. My second symphony I recorded with the City of Birmingham Symphony. It's a wonderful recording, which with Frankenstein, which is also on that recording. But now I'm writing my third symphony. It's good that I have a relationship with people like you that I can say, well, I have a third symphony, want to do it? Here it is. It's published by Universal Edition. The other good news is that in the past few years, I've become one of the leading composers at Universal Edition in Vienna, which is the creme de la creme place.
It is, absolutely.
You know,
Congratulations on that too.
well, with Gustav Mahler, Richard Strauss, Kurt Weill, Schoenberg, Berg, Weber, everybody. So, I mean, I'm very happy to be with them, and they are delightful. So they've been, they've been publishing my music, and we're almost up to 90 titles. So there's another 20 of my youthful stuff that I still have to have made into by a copyist into manageable text. So we're working on that too.
Well, we're thrilled that you're with us again this season, but in a more formal capacity, Michael, as composer in residence with ICO. 2 world premieres, 2 recordings in the works. It's delightful to work with you again, and thanks for joining us for this Mocktails and Masterpieces.
It's delightful to be together. Thank you, Maestro.
See you soon.